We're pleased to be joined by our first guest. She is a Oakland County Commissioner. Joining us here on the show is Marcia Gershenson, joining us once again. Marcia, thanks for being with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. I so enjoy being on your show.
Appreciate having you on. So let's start off by talking about the pandemic and some of the forms of assistance that are being provided to Oakland County residents at this time, as things are starting to trend a little bit back toward normal, but at the same time, with the situation we have right now, with an uptick in some cases, with the Delta variant continuing to spread throughout the state of Michigan and around the United States, there are growing concerns, and at the same time, people are still struggling as a result of the pandemic, because just because things start trending back to normal, that doesn't necessarily mean that things are back to normal. There's a recent article from Click on Detroit from Local 4 TV. Nearly $4 million in assistance is available for Oakland County residents who are continuing to face hardships due to the pandemic. Can you give us a little bit of details about where some of that money is going toward and how people may qualify for that?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So this is known as Arpa Funding, and it's the second round of federal funding. Our county got $250 million in the first round, which was called CARES funding, that we dispersed into the public. We are one of the only counties in the country that was able to give away all that money. And it's funny, I often joke, I've never worked harder to give away money. Whoever thought that would be hard? But now we've got our second round, which is $250 million, and we've received half of that. And of that money, we have allocated certain portions for residents that are still struggling with their rent or their utilities. We are really focusing on mental health services. One of the agencies we're using to distribute this money is called OLSA, Oakland Livingston Human Service Agency. Have you done an interview with them yet?
We have not yet haven't had an interview with them, but
they're amazing. I mean, they're amazing, and you really should, because our viewers should know what a tremendous resource they are. And I was really happy that you mentioned our website, oakgov.com, because we are listing the easiest way for residents to get assistance. We're trying to get money out to small businesses. You know, it's hard not to notice when you drive down Woodward, the small businesses that have been struggling to hang on, and some haven't. But there is assistance. There's career counseling, and also, Tyler, I've been put on a committee that's overseeing areas that our youth can use to help them through this adjustment, this transition time. So if any of our viewers or our listeners have any suggestions on areas, we're really looking to strengthen services for our youth, as well as families that are struggling. So there's a lot of money out there, and we want to get it to those who need it more.
We're joined by Marcia Gershenson.
Challenge.
We're joined by Marcia Gershenson, Oakland County Commissioner, here on the MegaCast, as we continue to talk about an influx of funding to the county that's being utilized to help residents who may still be struggling as a result of the pandemic and these
Tyler,
programs. Yes.
Let me also throw in there that so many people repeat the cliche that the reason we don't have enough workers is because of the unemployment. But childcare is a huge piece of that. Yeah. And so we have a committee now that is focused on how we can strengthen the child care system. So with this money, we're looking not to just make short-term fixes, but to make long-term fixes. And I think 83 child care facilities went out of business during the pandemic. And so we're looking at how we can assist, working with Oakland schools, working with our educational partners in the county, how we can strengthen childcare so that people that have gotten used to working at home and not having to pay for childcare have that option restored to them.
Commissioner, as these programs are going into place, and a lot of them being kickstarted from that American Rescue Plan money that's being allocated to the state and being allocated then also to counties and to local municipalities. What happens after we go through this federally allocated money that has helped supported these programs? Because eventually this money's not going to be there. This is a one-time thing, and it's not going to be something that's cyclical, but these programs are going to be majorly impactful on these families. How do we sustain those programs after this funding goes away?
That's a great question. It comes up all the time. How do we make programs sustainable? And one of the issues is we have 3 years to spend this money, which is different than the first round, and we have 5 years to implement it. So many of us, and let me give you an example. 3 Bloomfield Police, Birmingham Police, and Auburn Hills Police are working with Oakland County Community Mental Health and having a licensed therapist go out on some of their calls, some of their mental health calls. That's a program that we believe will be so beneficial that eventually it'll work itself into the budget of these organizations. And that's one thing we're really looking to help fund throughout the county, because right now it's a pilot program for 3 police departments, and I know our West Bloomfield Police Department's very interested in doing something, and our hope is that some of these programs, some of these changes are going to be so solid that they're going to become the norm, and we're going to be able to weed out some of the other programs that are being funded right now. It's a different world. The post-pandemic, it's a different world. So there's a lot of room to change things, and our belief is that some of these new programs are going to become sustainable. And there's so much more money coming. I mean, the broadband issue is just huge. Yeah. And we were thinking of tackling the broadband on the county level. However, if we're going to get federal money to really address it, we're going to wait, and we'll be able to back it up with county funds.
We're joined by Marcia Gershenson, Oakland County Commissioner, on the MegaCast today, and you're also the subcommittee. You're the chair of the subcommittee that oversees the Oakland County Animal Shelter and Pet Adoption Center, and it's a national. And you recently had a nationally renowned expert on animal shelters evaluate the shelter, and she concluded by saying that they're doing amazing work, citing the statistics for their save rate, or the amount of animals that they do end up saving, instead of a lot of these shelters that do end up, in the case of shelters that are not no-kill shelters, end up having a lot of these animals eventually that they can't get into forever homes euthanized. Can you talk a little bit about the continued efforts of the Oakland County Animal Shelter and Pet Adoption Center throughout the pandemic?
Sure. That's an issue close to my heart. I'm a big supporter of animal welfare advocates. And we have a state-of-the-art animal shelter that a lot of the animal advocates have helped us design and develop so that we have best practices. But there's still a lot of work to be done. So what we decided is rather than us try to fix little things, is to bring in an expert who can do an assessment and tell us where we need to improve. And one of the areas is we've started a community cat program. Feral cats are a big issue in the county, but there's a way to address it that isn't very expensive, and it's called Trap, Neuter, and Release, where either a resident calls and says, I've got a colony, we'll ask them, can you bring that colony in, and can you pick that colony back up after they're neutered? Because evidence shows that returning these cats to the area once they're neutered is the best policy. If we keep them at the shelter, they'll be euthanized. So that's one example of a program that is being implemented right now. And there's new ways to address the public. There's new ways to do intake. And our goal is to make it the best community animal shelter. So we're now reaching out to smaller shelters. such as the Royal Oak Shelter has been really helpful and letting us know how we can assist the local shelters as well. But Tyler, before we get off, I just want 1 minute so I can talk to Erica about the U.
I was just about to chime in anyway. I have a question for you, but can I ask you one thing before we talk about the U? Because we could talk about it all day.
Yeah, we got to talk about the U for sure.
Of course, always. But what I wanted to ask you is, when people come in and they do want to adopt animals and give them that forever home, how do you make sure that that person is qualified and they're really going to give them the life that they're promising? Because you can't just hand away an animal to anyone when you don't really know a lot about them, because it could be a unsafe situation.
Exactly. So that's part of what the assessment revealed. There are now classes and courses that your administration, the people that greet the public, they will be trained now, and you do an interview with the people that want to interview. And it's no longer thought good policy to say, I want a certain breed, because most dogs are many different breeds, and very often they're labeled incorrectly. So there's different questions you ask the family that's looking for a dog. What is your priority? Are you looking for a watchdog? Are you looking for a dog to play with infants? Are you looking for more of a family dog? What are you looking for? So they do an assessment of the prospective adoptive parents. And that helps them direct them to a dog that will be good. So you're absolutely right. We are focusing more on getting to know the people that are coming in for the adoption.
Well, that's fantastic. Makes me very happy to hear. And take it away now. What do you want to?
For a tour. Let me take you for a tour. If you're an animal lover, contact me. We'll go for a tour.
You know, unfortunately, I am actually going back to Miami on Monday, but next time I'm in town, definitely I will be in contact with you, and we will do that. But speaking of which, I am going back Monday, so what do you want to talk about?
Well, my son is a graduate, and we often joke that he said, Mom, I'm going to U of M, but not the one you want me to go to. And it turned out to just be an amazing place for him. And he's become very successful in the music industry. And he just did a panel. And I wonder if you saw it. It was a panel of my son, who's now the director of the Oklahoma Thunder arena and booking. And the graduate that did the Los Angeles Philharmonic, and they talked about challenges in the entertainment industry, and it was through the School of Communication. So I just wanted to encourage you to be sure and check that out if you're not already involved.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm a little guilty of not keeping up to date with my Miami email when I'm home. You know, check this email more for work. But definitely, I'm glad you brought that up, because I am obviously in the School of Communication, so I will definitely be looking at it. What's your son's first name?
Drew. D-R-E-W. So look it up, and you can always contact me if you've got any questions. I'll get you in contact with him.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. And I'll be in contact to take a tour of the animal shelter for sure. So thank you for that offer.
So I also wanted to mention another new exciting initiative, which are body cams. So after the George Floyd tragedy, more attention was given on how can we strengthen our police departments, our locals, and our county police department to become more community driven. And there's been a big need for body cams, and they're very expensive. But there was a grant available for the Oakland County Sheriff's Department. So we oversee 15 communities. Well, that leaves out a lot of communities, and some of the ones that don't contract with the Oakland County Sheriff's Department, they've initiated body cams on their own. I believe Waterford has, and there are other communities that are paying for it. But we are very excited to announce that we're in the process of having body cams on our Oakland County sheriffs. It's something that we feel is very important, and then we'll be reaching out to the other local communities that are not partners with the Oakland County Sheriff's Department to see how we can help them fund these cams.
We're joined by Marcia Gershenson, Oakland County Commissioner, on the MegaCast. Marcia, just another 30 seconds or so before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else you'd like to mention or that would be important for our audience to know?
Well, I'm just wondering if anybody has any suggestions out there, if they see a need, they're in the workforce or they're not in the workforce and they're having trouble getting back into the workforce. My information is very available, and I would encourage anybody to reach out to me or any of your local electeds, because we're in touch. We've got this pot of money, and we're looking to get it out to help the most people. That's the hardest thing, is to find out where the need is and to get to those people. So that's a real commitment of mine and of Oakland County.
Well, Commissioner Gershenson, we appreciate having you on. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Go Canes.
Go Green.